Hi guys, it's Mark Zicree, Mr. Sci-Fi, also known as Mark Zicree of Space Command. Merry Christmas and Happy New Year, and I'm sure that you're making the best of it, as we all are. But a lot of great stuff is happening on this end. Space Command is moving along great. The Showrunners Network is moving along terrifically well. The new book is coming along well, and I just wrote Grizzled Space Jockey, a Space Command story about my character in Space Command, and and I'm going to be doing a reading of that soon for Mr. Sci-Fi, plus the anthology Space 1979. I just heard back from the editor, and he loves the story. So that's all good news. So I wanted to talk about. Recently, I did my review of Midnight Sky, and I was disappointed in that. But I just saw a movie I actually really, really loved, and it was far better than the trailers would lead you to believe. So I'm going to talk about that, and also an older movie that I revisited. Which I also enjoyed a lot. So the first movie I want to talk about that just came out is Greenland. And it's, now many of you may remember that there was, some years ago, there were two competing movies of asteroids hitting the Earth. And we hoped that one of them at least would be the great asteroid hitting the Earth movie. And one of them was Deep Impact, and can't remember, and the other one's from Armageddon. So Armageddon was this crazy Michael Bay, mashup, and I do not like Michael Bay, and I did not like that movie. There were some good design elements, but it was not the movie I wanted it to be. And Deep Impact, which was the Spielberg film, again, wasn't a great movie. And my friend Bruce Joel Rubin wrote it, and he is very spiritual. I took a meditation class from him some years ago, and he and Spielberg, when they were making the movie, Spielberg said to him, "Here's the difference between you and me. If we were standing at a stoplight, and across the street on the opposite corner, there was a little boy and a Buddhist monk. You would want to talk to the Buddhist monk, and I would want to talk to the little boy." And Bruce Joel Rubin said, "Exactly." but they did not have a meeting of the minds, and the movie is not the classic we hoped it would be. But when I started seeing trailers for Greenland, I had some hope, because I've been waiting for the great asteroid hitting the Earth movie. Now, 2012 was another sort of similar kind of thing. Again, just not a great movie. Fun, but not a great movie by any means. And the Woody Harrelson is great in it, as sort of a George Nori kind of character, but very, very different from George in the specifics. So I saw this trailer, but it was a Gerard Butler movie, and I've been seen many Gerard Butler films where I would go to them and it would be like, well, that was okay, but it wasn't great, and I didn't feel insulted like the White House Has Fallen or whatever it was called, and all of those movies, and but this was actually great. I started hearing reviews of it where they said it's much better than the trailers would lead you to believe, and that's absolutely true. So let me talk about it just for a couple of minutes. But if you have a chance to see it, I urge you to. Unfortunately, it's $19 to rent at this stage, and because they're trying to, because they can't release it theatrically here in most of the United States, and so they're trying to make up the revenue by putting that kind of price on it, which is high. But I really felt I got my $19 worth. Elaine and I watched it together, but or maybe if you got 4 people in your family and they can each put up $5 or whatever, you get it. So Gerard Butler is very, very good in it. He puts on a Scottish accent of all things, and he's very subtle. He plays a father who's had a falling out with his wife. Their marriage has gone south, but they have a little boy. And fortunately, in this movie, for the first time in the history of man, instead of a little kid having asthma, like in World War Z and innumerable other movies, this kid has diabetes, so he's got an insulin pump. And when things break down, there's a question of, how is he going to stay alive? How is he going to keep his insulin going? Great. And his wife, Gerard Butler's wife, first of all, the little kid is played by Roger Dale Floyd, and he does a great job. Really, really a good kid actor. And Gerard Butler does a performance that's very sensitive, very layered. There's a lot of twists and turns in the movie. They're surprising. Asteroids are hitting the Earth. Asteroids are hitting the Earth. And, and his wife is played by Marina Baccarin, and you may know her from Deadpool, but I know her from Serenity / Firefly, and she's really good in this. She plays the mom, and there's things that happen. I'm not going to spoil it for you like I did Midnight Sky, but just let's say that, there's certain things where you go, oh, well, I've seen that in movies before, and then all of a sudden there's a turn where you go, oh, well, that's fresh. I haven't seen that. So and she's terrific. Scott Glenn plays her dad, a little bit wasted because he could have been used a lot more in that movie. He's still wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. And if you've never seen him in Miss Firecracker, I highly recommend that film. We've all seen him in The Right Stuff, and but he's always solid, extremely solid. and and the visual effects are terrific, of things hitting the earth and mayhem and destruction, and it's on a grand scale, but it always stays with the family, stays with that microcosm as something huge is happening, and it does it in a good way, as opposed to something like Cloverfield, where it was like, what, why are we with these boring, stupid, shallow people? But in Greenland, you come to really care for these people, the mother, the dad, the kid, and and so it's really swell, and so I highly recommend it, and it'll be worth your time and worth your effort, and so that's my recommendation on a current film. And when it comes out on Blu-ray and 4K and all that stuff, I'll almost certainly get it, and but you'll do well to watch it. So meanwhile, I had also come across something online that gave me the desire to check out a movie I'd seen long ago. Now, one of the great classics of science fiction, an amazingly prescient book, is this, Brave New World by Aldous Huxley. This is the American first edition. It came out in 1932, and it predicts sedatives. It predicts the sex in a more modern way. It predicts in vitro fertilization, all sorts of stuff, and it's a really truly amazing book. And Huxley was way, way, way ahead of his time. By my lights, this is his great work of fiction, and he was a remarkable man, but he really came through hugely in this. Now, there have been two miniseries that have been made of this, one some decades ago and one recently, and they were okay, but not really great. The problem with this kind of work is that you have to have the right satirical edge. It has to be connected to our world in a way where you can see an evolution to our world. It can easily become just not hit the mark in certain ways. And though it did have one of my favorite lines of any review, which is in Our Gang Comedies, there was a character named Alfalfa played by Carl Swizzler, and he had this hair sticking up, and Bud Cort from Harold and Maude played in the Brave New World Society. They're categorized. They're in vitro. They're either intellectually stifled or intellectually enhanced, so that you have alphas and betas and deltas and so forth, and they are assigned different tasks in the society. And in the miniseries, the earlier miniseries, Bud Cort played an alpha plus, and the review said that he was more like an alfalfa plus. So pretty good. And and the more recent miniseries came out, and again, it was okay, but a great adaptation, or a great synthesis of Brave New World, is a movie you would not think was that. And it's a really good film. It really stands up. I highly recommend it. It's called Demolition Man, and it came out, I think, in 1993, around then. And a lot of movies from that era have maintained their fame, such as, I just got the 4K of Total Recall, which is a very, very fun movie by the guys who brought you Alien, and also Paul Verhoeven and Schwarzenegger. Really fun movie. But Demolition Man is I think equally good, if not better, and is largely forgotten now. So I'll give you a little recap of it, and I'll explain why it's Brave New World. So it stars Sylvester Stallone as a cop whose nickname is the Demolition Man because he's so destructive, and he ends up getting convicted of a crime and put into cryo sleep, frozen, along with the criminal that he was pursuing, played by Wesley Snipes, in a very, very, very good performance. And Stallone is really good in this too, and he wakes up 36 years later, I think it is, and society has radically changed. And this is where Brave New World comes in, because it's a world where people are not supposed to have strong feelings, they're not supposed to curse, everything is kind of glossed over, and it's a very fun and cohesive and satirical view of the future, and it's very funny. The gags work, And just before they were going to shoot, they recast the female lead with an unknown actress, and it was Sandra Bullock. And she's really good because she could be just sort of your sort of empty-headed bimbo kind of character, and instead she lends great intelligence and great emotion to it, and she's able to inhabit the role in a way that she's not laughing at it, but in on the joke. And so it's very, very fun. And Andre Gregory of My Dinner with Andre is in it as well. And the writer was very consciously riffing on Brave New World to the degree that Sandra Bullock's character is named Lenina Huxley. So the Huxley, of course, comes from Aldous Huxley, and the Lenina is the female main character in Brave New World. So if you really want to see a good adaptation or synthesis of Brave New World, watch Demolition Man. And even if you don't care about Brave New World, it's well worth revisiting or seeing if you've never seen it. It's very fun. It comes from that period before CG, where you'd have what were called practical effects, where you'd really blow stuff up. And there's an old gas building, a defunct gas building, gas company building, that they got a hold of, and they actually blew it up. So that's not a model. That's a real building. And there's tons of effects like that. Dennis Leary is in the movie, interestingly enough, as the leader of the rebels. And again, very, very fun. So so definitely check it out. I think because it's a Stallone film, because it's not directed by one of the famous genre directors, it kind of has vanished a little bit. But it'll be well worth your time and well worth your attention, and I recommend it. So so these are two very good films to spend your Christmas time with, Greenland and Demolition Man. And recently I've also been watching the new season of The Expanse, which stops oddly enough at 4 episodes in. Maybe they're going to be dropping another few soon. I don't know. I'll check it out. But the first 4 episodes are very good. But and I'll do a video on them. But the problem is, as in the novels, the characters all kind of go their own separate ways, and that tends to make it fairly episodic and disparate. And so we'll get into that next time. But for now, definitely. You can pre-order Space Command down there. Check out all the other Mr. Sci-Fi videos. Watch the first hour of Space Command if you haven't seen it. The second hour is coming very, very soon, and it's looking good. And more adventures to come. Lots more adventures. And I hope you're staying safe. I hope you're staying well. I think 2021 is going to be a great year. And yeah, onward to the future, guys. Thanks a lot. Take care, and we'll talk really soon. Merry Christmas.